Welcome to the Au Jus. I'm your host, Beef Loaf. This show is being powered by From the 108 and FromThe108.com, where you can get all of our content, top to bottom, blogs, podcasts, and videos, including the world-famous Sunday Soak. You can also get all of our merch there as well, including the infamous Wave Sucks and hashtag 108 in garbs. Currently, we have a Wake Me for the Parade koozie selling at FromThe108.com. It's $5. Go get one, go get 10. It's the kind of thing that never goes out of style. This show is powered by you, the loyal 108 supporter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to tickle the undercarriage in the process. Like, comment, turn on notifications, and most definitely super chat, because that's how we get paid, and that's how we continue to make the content you know and love. Tonight's guest. He is a former pitcher for the University of Illinois Fighting Illini. He's currently the director of social media for Barstool Sports, and he's a lifelong Southsider who is a tortured White Sox fan like the rest of yous in the comments. Welcome to the Au Jus, Chuck Naso. Chuck, how you doing, my friend?
Thanks for having me, Beef. Finally met you a couple weeks ago, and now we're finally hopping on a pod together, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to meet you and then hang out a little bit at Cork. Glad you've made it your way back home. You made all the way, and now you're back in the Chicagoland area. So I'm happy you're there. Now, are you when you move away for a while and then you move back? Do you go to any of the same places you used to go to? You weren't living in Chicago for half decade plus. You still frequent the same places, or are you kind of starting fresh, different pizza place, different whatever?
No, I definitely go to the same places. Like, I'm still waiting. I want to go to Palermo's over in like Oklahoma Midway. So nice. That's a big one for me, but I haven't made the trek out there yet. Obviously all the beef spots and things like that, but I still haven't got to doing that because I've been traveling back and forth to New York during this move so much. So I'm excited though. I love the food out here. I like Chicago style pizza 10 times more than New York style pizza. I think it's just the tavern style is like my type of pizza. So super excited to get back and do that. I got a Baracos by me. I did Baracos a couple times. We did Foxes last night. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm getting real fat. I gained 10 pounds since I've been back.
That's what I'm interested to see. All your cohorts, they moved to Chicago from New York. I want to see the poundage they put on, because we're low key one of the best food cities in the world, and not just like downtown restaurants. I'm talking the place on the corner is awesome. Like that's what Chicago is. So.
Yeah, me and Trent from Barstool always talk about our Midwest frames, and I'm starting to get back into my Midwest frame. So it was always there.
Well, we might need you for a few innings right here on 35th Street. They're a little lacking in pitching right now, so put on that weight. I heard mass equals gas, according to Lance Lynn. So that maybe nothing wrong with you doing that. I want to jump right in here, and speaking of your pitching days and being back at U of I want to start back then. So way back when you're in college, U of I, you're playing baseball there. You're a broadcast journalism major. That's your major. What are your expectations when you're going to graduate college? What's the job looking like? What's the path? Because I don't know. I'm a lot older than you. I'm 45. And I was an accounting major. So in the early 2000s, there were accounting jobs everywhere. I could harvest a job no matter what. What was this looking like when you were kind of rolling out of college at the time?
Yeah, man. It was so first off, like, I was so dumb as a kid when I was going into college. Like, I was just like, I'm going to be a professional baseball player after this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to pick any major. And I was like, what sounds cool? And I was like, okay, I'll do broadcast journalism. And you didn't really know what you were getting yourself into until you got to school. I was like, I should have probably went undeclared and figured out what I liked.
Yeah.
But I did broadcast journalism and I fell in love with it. And that's kind of when the Twitter boom started and all that stuff. So I got pretty heavy into Twitter, got in trouble a lot there for tweeting. I just remember there was a day where they had all the student athletes in a room, and it was like, this is what you shouldn't be doing on social media. And it was like me taking shots, some aggressive tweets out of me back in the day. And I was like, I gotta clean that up.
The early days of Twitter, everything went back then. It was wild.
So yeah. And then, while I was in college, I was actually doing, for Barstool at that time, I was actually doing this, we had a Viceroy program, which is like, you run Barstool, Illinois, or you run Barstool, UConn, something like that. I was one of the first 3 kids to ever do the Viceroy program. So we had UConn, we had UMass, and then randomly Illinois. Um,
Right.
and I used to
You're
write
not clustered with the rest of them. You're off on the island here.
so I used to write my own blog, and that's kind of how I got picked for it. And it was basically like, hey, just run like Barstool, Illinois, like how you would run like Barstool if it was at your school. So I did that. I used to find a bunch of funny stuff, and the best part was I was anonymous, so I could really fire from the hip there and not get suspended from my team. So I was like going off. And then sometimes the word would get out that I would do it, and I'd be like talking shit about a really bad Illinois football team, and you'd be in the training room with those guys, and it would get a little awkward sometimes. So that was a thing. So I did that, and then I obviously did like your normal broadcast journalism classes. But honestly, like they would teach you like dinosaur stuff in those classes. They're teaching you like Final Cut Pro when everyone started doing Adobe Premiere and all that and all those things. So I started just going on YouTube and teaching myself how to edit. Do simple things like that, and like edit in an effective way where it like would work for social media. And I started doing that, and I actually went to school for 5 years. So all my friends were all getting jobs out of school, and I finally got out of school, and the dream was over, even though the dream was over when I was 19 and my arm was shot. So I had to start finding a job. The first job I got out of college was actually a security guard at the Midwest Amphitheater up in Tinley Park.
Yes.
So I was a bodyguard out there just so I could drink on the weekends with my buddies. But that was about 2-3 months where I could make a little bit of money. And then I ended up getting side gigs with Comcast at the time, Comcast Chicago, and I was editing for them as a side gig. And then I was editing for 120 Sports as a side gig.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which is now Stadium.
Yeah, yes, yeah. It's become. Now, were you still carrying on the Barstool Illinois thing after you graduated? Were you still doing it a little bit, plugged in, using anybody else, or did you kind of vacate that when you left school?
I vacated it when I left school. So, and it's crazy now because like every Viceroy gets an interview almost with Barstool at this point. Okay. I never got the internship opportunity or anything like that. And I always would have like, I did a really good job on it. Like I knew I did a really good job on it. It just, at that point in the company, it was not easy to be an intern or even get hired by Barstool.
It's too early for all that stuff, I guess, right?
And you're working in media. And the first thing I would tell anybody who's trying to work in media, Chicago is a much harder place to try to get a job than a place like New York City. So it was very hard to find just side work at Comcast and 120, and you're not making that much money. So, I did that as those two things as side gig. And then I kind of try to stay in touch with Barstool as much as possible, like tweeting at the like Big Cat and stuff like that. Like he was always nice to me. He was really, really good guy. Like White Sox Dave was just a friend. So was Carl. Cause he was an Illinois guy too. So I always kind of had roots there. And then, it built into a bigger thing from there once we got it going.
Now I got to ask, who was the better pitcher in college, you or Barstool Carl?
I don't know. I think we were just like, we were both pretty big drinkers that got lucky where it was like our 5th year and the team sucked. And it was like, we need somebody to finish these games that has like, I thought me and him both had pretty big bravado to get on the mound and close out games. Like I always told my coach, I'm like, I can do this. I'm not going to throw hard. I'm going to throw 86, 87 probably, but I'm going to get dudes out. Like I had the mental to battle, which you don't find. I think that's the big difference between a lot of kids in college. So yeah, I think we both had, he had a pretty depleted big ERA that year. I would cash a lot of guys runs in. So I got lucky with my ERA.
Your guys wouldn't score, but you'd let the other one.
Oh yeah. I was known for that. I would like cash and kids runs, and then I would leave my guy stranded at third base. It's like the Aaron Bummer, like an Aaron Bummer.
Aaron Bummer. I was going to say, it reminds me of Aaron Bummer, especially this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you said that you weren't able to get an internship at Barstool, but was it kind of a requirement to get an internship to break into the field, or because you were playing a sport, like it had to be hard? You're devoting a lot of time to that. It's got to be tough to also get an internship officially. Were you an intern anywhere?
No, I couldn't. I played in the. I played one summer in a league called the Jayhawk League, which was in Derby, Kansas, which is actually me and Tim Anderson played in that same league during that summer.
Yes.
So he played for a team called, I forgot where they were, like the Dodge City A's or something. I think I actually faced them. I don't remember, but he wasn't he didn't have that like oomph behind him, like, cause he was just a JUCO kid. So like nobody really knew who he was. That sucked. 115 out every day. I actually got kicked off that team because I missed Pizza Hut breakfast one morning, Pizza Hut lunch, because I was hungover. So,
like the Pizza Hut buffet, like
the buffet.
Yes.
And they're like, "You were hungover last night," and I was a starting pitcher during that. And they're like,
"So what?"
They're like, "We're gonna tell your coach," and I'm like, "Oh no!" Like, whatever. So they told my coach, and then he's like, "Do you want to just like quit that team and go to Madison, Wisconsin?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do," because like Madison, Wisconsin, the team is the Mallards, and they're out of the Northwoods League, which is pretty big league. It's like second biggest league probably behind the Cape Cod. So I played for the Madison Mallards actually 2 summers out in Madison. Okay. Played with a lot of major leaguers now on those teams. I played with Pete Alonso. He was on my team. Matt Dice from the Angels, the catcher. A couple other guys. Actually, Jake McCarthy's brother Joe, who ended up getting a cup of tea a little bit. But is
that a wood bat league too? Like the Cape Cod league?
It's a wood bat league. So that was a fun league to play in. We had a really good time on that team. We won the championship. It was kind of fun. Like it was. Nice. But and then the last year I was an idiot and I decided to play for another Northwood League team in Waterloo, Iowa, which is way worse than Madison, Wisconsin. Like Madison's like the Yankees, and Waterloo, Iowa is like playing for like the Rays. You're just you're no one there. Shitty stadium, nobody's there. There's no you're not going to downtown Madison on your off nights. So, we had a good time, but I never got to do an internship. So sometimes I would try to get on the radio in between starts or in between games and try to do a couple innings with the guy. He would let me do it. But
nice.
I quickly realized I'm just not I'm not like a podcast video in front of the camera type guy. So I always like doing the social and coming up with those ideas. And I actually I feel like I'm an idea guy. I like coming up with ideas for people to do better. So that's kind of my gig.
Oh, that's great. I love that. And let's build off that right there because I wanted to ask you about when did you actually, or how did you actually end up working full-time at Barstool? I looked at LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a valuable resource. You're doing this type of research. And it says you started in 2017. So how did you end up getting your foot in the door and getting in there to actually be able to get a job at Barstool?
Yeah. So I ended up going full-time at 120 Sports after I was doing the part-time gig. They offered me full-time. And while I was there, I was actually helping Barstool out with a lot of stuff on the side. So I would edit Dave and Carl's podcast.
The old Red Line Radio, the original Red Line Radio.
I would do promos for him on the side. I'd wake up in the morning and I would do all that, and then I work nights at 120. So kind of just turned it into a grind. And Barstool started doing a thing where they wanted viceroy managers for all the schools. So they wanted it by region. They wanted a Big Ten viceroy manager. They wanted East Coast viceroy manager, SEC, that kind of thing. So they put out this big thing for it. And I sent in my resume, and my boss now knew me from before. So that kind of helped a little bit just to get my name in the door. And I started doing the interviewing for that, but then I also made an Instagram account called Fifth Year. So that because I went to school for 5 years. Yeah. So that one is what is now Barstool U. It was actually Barstool U before that. So he let me. I got Barstool U with 5,000 followers, and then we changed it to Fifth Year. And my boss is kind of like, just see what you can do on this while you're trying to interview for this. So I started just posting all the crazy videos I could find, and we blew it up, man. I think I did 2 million followers in a year and a half.
So you knew you had something with
that was just the start of it. So I was still at 120. I finally got the college viceroy position. They finally offered me that, and I was told originally it was going to be a regional thing where I could still live in Chicago.
Okay.
I was super pumped up. I was like, I'm going to be, it's a good position, making a little bit way more money than I am at 120 right now. Can kind of work from home before the work from home boom, and I get to travel the Big Ten schools and party. Sounds
like a great job right out of college.
Yeah, so not right now. As 30-year-old me, it's like no, I'm out on that.
But then,
So and I ended up going to New York. I met with our CEO now, Erica, and she's like, "Oh, so when are you moving to New York?" And a month later, I lived in Myrtle Queens, which
Okay.
I lived on Myrtle Ave, which I later found out was Murder Ave. That was the nickname for Myrtle Ave.
I was going to say, was that next door to the apartment that Prince Akeem lived in when he moved there
I
and
don't
coming to
know.
America?
I don't know.
Like...
It was a mile walk to the subway every day, and I just ran home anytime people were looking at me. I was like,
I'm out of here.
I'm not tough. So if you guys want to rob me, go ahead. You know,
catch me.
Yeah, you guys gotta catch me. So I did Queens, and I commuted the city, and I did the college viceroy thing to the best of my ability. But then fifth year became a huge thing where it was basically my job at that point, where it overtook everything else. And they let me be just a social media guy for fifth year after that, and started doing the main account on the side and learning the main account. And then I started doing the main account, and now it's where I am, kind of more in a suit seat, but I still overlook everything that we post. I'm just not actually posting most of the time.
I was going to say, when you said you had started learning the main account, what was there to learn about the main account? There was, obviously there's different content. What you're doing might be, with the fifth year might be a little more college based, and then, there could be broader, but is there anything like, what was to learn about it, or what was special about that?
It's just like the voice of the account. Like, you're trying to learn like what makes Barstool. That's what I always tell everybody that works for us, because especially when we were with like Penn and we were bringing in a lot of new people, it's very hard to teach people the like what we have here. Like, what do we do here that's different than other companies? Like, everyone wants to do the status quo. What I've always loved about Barstool is they let you be you, and you can kind of let it rip a little bit. So some people are a little like scared and gun shy because they don't want to get fired if they have a bad tweet or something like that. But there's still ways to be funny. And I even had a meeting talking about that today. So we're just you just got to teach every day. That's the hardest thing for me, because I love posting stuff myself and I know I can be funny. It's the hardest thing for me now is teaching new people how to be Barstool. Like what is it to be Barstool? So that's a daily challenge for all of us here. But
that's interesting, because growing up with the Score in the in the 90s and early 2000s and all that stuff, like the tenor then of that radio station is different than it is now, because you can't get away with the same stuff you used to be able to get away with. And internet's the same. You can't, there was internet, earlier, and now there's internet now where you can't get away with it. Now, do you feel like that's part of the evolving process of like figuring out the new angles of like, okay, we know we can't say XYZ because it's a gray area, but what about this? No one's thinking about this, and this is a great place to have some humor.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing with the internet growing is like when I tell everyone early Instagram and stuff, you could post people like on fire, jumping off rooftops, breaking chairs, and you don't get a community guideline violation. You get a bajillion comments. It was the best. Like I had my favorite video of all time. I remember this. This guy he's lined up at the dartboard, and it's one of those classic videos where it's the asshole with his hand up by the dartboard. And he's like, oh, you might hit me in the hand with the dart. And then the dude just totally misses, and it goes right into his temple. And I was like, and he just walked away fine. Like, how is that going to
I remember that video. It's a great video.
I gotta find that video because it's one of the funniest videos of all time. And it was just like wild stuff like that we would post. So yeah, it's harder to like post the edgier like videos like that. But where I think we always are better than everyone else is like, instead of doing like the look at this bro with the emoji that you'll see on all the other sports aggregator accounts, like I try to like have videos that relate to real life situations. So that's what makes I think that's what makes a funny video even funnier. Like you could take a mid-tier video and slap a really good caption on it and really take it from a C- video to an A+. So that's where you have to be different now, because the platforms just don't let you post the edgier content that you used to, besides what is now formerly referred to as Twitter. X allows that still. So I fire from the hip on X whenever I see something on there.
But a little more guarded on some of the other platforms.
Politics, something crazy like that. I'm gonna touch it on there. So yeah, it's always moving. That's one of the most challenging things. Like one day you could get a bullying thing for the dumbest thing ever that you would never expect to get a bullying thing for. So you just got to keep up with it. It's tough. But I have faith in us. We're always on the edge of it, the cutting edge.
So you fast forward to now you're the director. You're director of social media there. What does the day to day entail? What are you doing on a daily basis? We touched on some of it here, is like coaching up, teaching other people. I assume you have a team under you. Tell me how that works, and how you coach up a group to have access to various social accounts, and the methodologies or strategies that you might choose to employ in that.
Yeah, I would say it's been the most challenging thing for me so far, for sure. I manage 13 people right now.
Okay.
It's very hard to teach compared to just doing it. And I come from a background of just doing it, like just working my ass off. And then, you go in for your review at the end of the year and nobody has a bad word to say. They can if you work your ass off. For me, it took me a while where I stopped posting and it felt like I wasn't doing as much. And I started to slowly learn that teaching people how to be better at the craft was bringing the company more forward than me just doing everything myself.
Sure.
So that's been the biggest challenge for me, is teaching everybody. I have to go to a lot more meetings. It's a lot more strategy. What original, like what clips are we going to use from our upcoming reality show, or what podcast clips are we going to use? How can we package it so it gets more views than a normal podcast clip would be? Things like that every day. And it's always just coming up. And I always prided myself when I was in the New York office 5 days a week, trying to help people be better at social too. So, sometimes at Barstool, I have a really hard time with trying to get people on TikTok when I know it's like the biggest, it's the place where you could grow super fast.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of early Instagram where, I don't want to do Instagram. I just do Twitter. Like, I don't want to do this. And everyone was growing on Instagram. You're growing millions of followers a day, and it was the wild, wild west. And now everyone's on Instagram and you can't grow.
It's too late. Yeah.
Too late. Now it's the same thing with TikTok. All the people who are early on TikTok are growing like a motherfucker on there. And I'm telling everyone else, like, why don't you just take your simple tweet that you tweeted out, turn it into a quick video, and put it on TikTok?
Yeah.
So it's just doing something like that. It's like, you got something to say? Like, go do it in video format. Like, it's pretty easy. I think we are all funny here. Why don't we just take it and turn it into video format? So
yeah, I mean, I was going to ask this too about managing the group. Are you managing from the front, like, okay, here's XYZ, how we're going to do that, or sometimes you're managing from the back, like you watch what they put out, any particular person, and you watch the accounts they're handling, and then give feedback kind of in the back end, like, okay, well, you tried this, is a good idea, but maybe tweak it like this, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've tried. I like to do the back because I think that's the better way to learn. But the front, with what we do, has to happen a lot more.
Okay.
Because you keep posting lame stuff, you lose followers, or like and
people stop caring. They don't. Yeah.
People stop caring, and like so we have to be on top of it. Like I'm pretty much, if I'm off social for 3 hours, I'm looking 3 hours later at everything we posted and being like, okay, that sucked. This sucked right away. Like, we need to be better. Like, and I also, they'll send, like, we'll have a group chat with videos that we'll talk about and be like, hey, this one's good. This one's not still good. This one could be good with a caption that we can make relatable. And it's just, and in my mind, it's like, I can come up with a caption so easily, but it's like, gotta let them come up.
They gotta learn. They gotta stub their toe a little bit, right?
Gotta come up with this. So yeah, it's just maturing and then like letting that happen has been the hardest thing, but it's also the most rewarding thing when it starts working. And it's also like, I would say I gave up a lot of my life doing this stuff. So, there's a lot of social media managers out there that act like they're like deprived and like can't do it. I worked my ass off. I posted 7 days a week. I used to post 27 times a day at most on Instagram. It sucks, but also better than sitting in a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
And I did that before and I hated it. So, and mine wasn't even 9-to-5. It was nights and weekends. So
even worse.
And I was like, I will do anything and I will continue to do anything to keep this position. So it could always be worse. And sometimes you gotta, go leave a family party to tweet for a couple seconds or take a call. It happens. Like,
right.
My fiance's family, my family understands it now. So we were doing family week last week and I was working the whole week, but like Friday night they were doing dinner. I'm like, I got to go watch Rough and Rowdy. So I'll see you guys later tonight, which wasn't the worst thing in the world to have to do during a family vacation. So,
well, that's interesting. So you have a set of accounts that and across platforms that are going to be manned by you and your team. Do you rotate people on different accounts? Do you get so people they have like their assignment, this is what they have to do, and they have to learn and grow to get better on specific platforms. How do you search out who's going to be on Twitter versus who's going to be on Instagram versus who's going to be on TikTok?
It's kind of like now we've hired guys from other companies that were really good at doing Twitter or doing other stuff. I've always thought that if you could be really funny on Twitter, you could be really funny on the other platforms. Like I was always a Twitter guy, and I learned I learned Instagram and got millions of followers on Instagram. It's like, I think like the base of being funny is Twitter. And if you could be funny on there, and I think the low end of the totem pole is TikTok, where I think half that shit is just not funny. But it's just that crazy feed. It just keeps the algorithm on there.
It keeps going. So addicting. My daughter likes TikTok. She's 13 and she kind of got me into it. So I don't look that often, but then when I look, I'm like, I've been on here a half hour. I haven't even noticed that I've been on here just flipping through shit. So I totally understand.
I like it. I get it. But I also I personally don't like scrolling like that endlessly. I think it's horrible for
I'm sure it is.
Your mental health, especially when I lived in like New York City where you're just anxiety ridden 24/7. It's like horror. Like out here, I'm very relaxed now. It's like I'm by trees. I can feel the sun on my skin. I don't see I don't get spit on by a random homeless person on the way to work every morning.
There's not rats running down the street.
Life's a lot slower around here, so it helps me calm down and get locked in on social. But yeah, I always like to find guys that are really funny on Twitter first, and then it's easy to teach people from there.
Okay, interesting.
And we kind of just go and see what people like to do, and where they excel. And then my team is basically a lot of main account people, and then we have some guys that do a little Barstool baseball or a little side passion type thing like that. That's like, if you're doing the main account and you see a funny baseball clip, you just throw it on the side account, basically.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
But most of my guys do the main account, but they run some sort of sector of it. So main IG stories, TikTok, all that type of stuff.
Oh, beautiful. That's very interesting. Now I was going to ask, you were talking about strategy and approach just from the front end, in meetings and stuff. When you're advising your team, or even when you're in a meeting with higher ups and just discussing this, what percentage of your strategies are dictated by well curated data, things that you guys are pulling down and seeing trends or whatever, and how much of it is just fuck it, let's throw this thing against the wall and see what the hell happens? How do you divide that up?
I'm I'm not anti-data, but I look at it. I see when we're going down, I go to data meetings all the time, and I look into it, but there's a couple things that I really like to look at. I like to look at comments. I think comments are king. I think if your video, hate it or love it, has a lot of comments on it, you're doing something right, you know? So that's the thing first and foremost I'll look at is comments, especially on Instagram. If it doesn't have a lot of comments, I'm like, this isn't doing it. It's just not happening. Now,
even if it's got the views, you're whatever.
It's just that it's not that's what we've always been known for. We're really good with creating engagement, creating things that get people going. And some people shy away from that. I like being in the mix, to be honest. I'm not scared of getting into confrontation with people. And if you want to be mad at me, be mad at me. It is what it is.
Yeah, get in the mud. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, could you not post? Can you? And it's no, you gotta. If you work at Barstool Sports, you get in the mud. It's what it is.
What's wrong with that? It's like a barroom conversation. Everyone argues about their favorite players or their whatever food they like or all kinds of shit.
I always love when people get when they first start working at Barstool, get really flustered by the comments. It's dude, who cares? Somebody's going to call me fat or bald. I don't give a shit. Who cares? I'll move on with my day. It's some loser behind his keyboard on the internet that's telling you that, whatever. But people get really hurt about that. And I'm you just got to brush that off. And also realize that anytime that somebody has known me, which is crazy. If you somehow know me from on screen at Barstool, you're probably super into Barstool. And I'm well, that's always weird when that happens. So, but everybody's always had something nice to say. It's never oh, I hate you, or you're fat and bald. And even if you call me fat and bald, I'll be like, yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's just you got to have thick skin in this game, man. It's people are gonna hate. People are gonna be like, oh, fire the social media manager on tweets at the bottom. Who cares?
Yeah. You see that shit a lot.
I've seen social media managers get like tweet from the team, like the team account, be like, we're super stressed out that people are mad at us about posting the score. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, I would like laugh if I posted like White Sox lose 3-13 to the Rockies and fall to 48-60. I'd be like laughing at the comments under it. I'd be like,
it's not even at you. It's not at you.
Reinsdorf, not me. Like,
exactly. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you ever have do the main accounts ever go back at, because I know the personalities will go back at the commenters or mix it up with the commenters, and sometimes that gets fun when there is a little, a big personality mixing it up with some commenters. Do the main accounts ever go back at the commenters? And if they do you ever have to yell at anyone? Just take it easy. You don't need to go back so hard on that.
I rarely will engage with people unless I know it's going to be a home run. And it won't be because they're hating on us. It'll more so just be I always like my favorite troll of all time from the main account is just randomly every 5 months, just post that I'm snacking girl just out of nowhere and just be like, had to do it. And then they'll be like, I can't believe you did this. And I'd be like, I had to. Or you just have funny comments like that. But I'll never be trying to burn somebody in the comments, if anything.
Yeah.
But I rarely get in there. It's just not, I don't like tweeting first person from the main account too much. But
yeah. And the team too. Your team is generally pretty disciplined about doing that as well.
I gotta if they start doing that and I'm not doing that, then we have problems.
That's kind of my question there. So, okay. So in some of these main accounts, I mean, one of the things, Barstool's not the only one who gets shit for this. Other, substantial size media companies get shit for this is the use of other people's content. Mm-hmm. And that kind of happens a lot of places. My question is this: kind of what's the basic legal line for you guys, and then kind of what's the etiquette of using other people's content?
Yeah, so we had issues in the past where we just want to repost people's content and tag them. Simple as that. All right. So way back in the Wild Wild West days, we would, I'd be like, hey, Beef, can I use your video? I think it's really funny. We're going to tag you in the caption. That's it.
No problem. Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yep.
So what used to happen was we would do that and everything was fine. And then, a few years in, some people I would post your video on a huge account. You would get a ton of views. And then there was actually these troll accounts that would come in. They're troll companies almost, basically. They would come in and they'd be called Copyright LLC or something like that. And they would go, hey, Beef, we want to buy your video, all the rights to your video for $300. And they buy the rights for your video for $300. And then they hit the bigger accounts with a trademark strike on their account.
Okay.
And what happens is you get a trademark, or not copyright strikes, not trademark strikes.
Yeah.
You get a copyright strike on your account, and after a certain amount of copyright strikes, your account goes bye-bye. So what they do is they hold you hostage with that copyright strike and basically be like, hey, give me this X amount of money, give me $50,000, or we're gonna keep the copyright strike on your account. So you're just they got you by the balls.
Oh man! So they found a little cottage industry getting in the middle of that and just trying to squeeze out some money. Man,
so people would try to say. So early on, we had to stop tagging people because they would find the rights to the videos, and we would be getting sued left and right, or get the copyright strikes left and right. So we would have to use it without tagging people. It sucked because I want everybody to get credit for their videos.
Yeah. Right.
We later found a system where we basically just ask for rights to your video. It's for our protection. We post it. And then if you say somebody does down the line want to use it on a bigger platform, we let everybody else use it. Say you want to sell it down the line, I'll be like, okay, we'll just release the rights and we'll delete it. So that's kind of where we're at now. I don't consider it stealing. I consider it basically just reposting your video and getting your tag, getting you more followers. But I consider it stealing when you're just when you just rip people's stuff and put it on your page with no credit. That's
which people do a lot of the time on the internet.
People like to come at us for it the most. It was just honestly BS because I'll see Pat Bev show or a random show get posted on some random Bleacher Report or Hoop Report,
Right.
and we'll never do anything about it. By the way, like we're cool about it. We're never like,
Right.
oh, we're just a tag. Where's the tag? So, it is what it is. There's people on the internet that just want to see the downfall, and we're trying to. We always try to do the right steps, do the right thing for everybody, so that we can use their content and both sides can be happy. Sucks that sometimes it has to look that way, where people are like, oh, we didn't get credit for this, and it's like, like all you gotta do is you can DM me, you can tweet me, I'll figure it out. I'll get you tagged on something. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the internet's like that, rampant stealing. And not even, I mean, there's direct stealing, but then there's ideas and concept stealing too. Yeah. And like, that's rampant. And that you almost have no protection from, even though it's kind of, so like, I'm just interested, like
I have the content, the idea stealing thing. That actually pisses me off. But the crazy thing is I've literally like concepted something in my mind and saw the same exact tweet 2 minutes later. It's like crazy. Like that's how like a lot of social media manager minds are working the same. Like we know the same memes, we know everything like that. And it's like, oh, you stole this. I'm like, dude, I go out of my way never to like steal ideas because we're like in the trigger fire if we stole somebody else's idea. So I hate when people do that or like will like take a comment and make it like their own type thing. I hate that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But at some point though, you guys being kind of at the top of or towards the top of the totem pole here, you're going to influence the broader market to begin with. So, smaller people are going to just be, even if they're not trying to copy you, it's by osmosis. They've been ingesting and they're going to be like, oh, and then they come up with stuff. So it's kind of interesting, but yeah, I agree with you. I hate the idea of idea stealing. It's terrible. Come up with your own fresh shit, basically, is the thought. Let's get to one drink here. Drew Bogue says, love hearing from a social media expert. Thanks. So thanks, Drew. Appreciate you there.
I'm no expert, dude.
One last thing on this topic, Chuck. I have to ask. I know you talked about the main accounts, however. Are the big personalities, the top personalities at the company, are they fully in charge of their own social accounts? Let's just say, the Prez, Big Cat, KFC, PFT, those guys, or do they have help kind of like putting all their stuff together? They're busy people. I'm just curious, like how that all worked.
The bigger people that like deserve the help, that are working their asses off every day, like doing a million podcasts and stuff, they do have help. It's more so just posting out promo, but like nobody's like firing off tweets for the bigger personalities, like just thought tweets. I would hope not. So it's mostly just like promo and stuff like that, or ads is what the people are helping with them, but they don't have like ghostwriters for their things or anything.
Yeah, I meant more like a podcast clip or all this stuff. I assume they're not doing all that shit themselves. When they're tweeting something, Big Cat tweets a picture of got donuts. I assume that's actually him. I don't want to assume it's
a lot. I used to think he had a ghostwriter, and then I just. Like you'll be sitting with him and I'll be like, holy shit, you tweeted all that while we were sitting there? I didn't even know. Like he's very good at what he does. He kills it. So he's like the gold standard of somebody who I just believe works really hard and has gotten everything they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly entertaining. Do you guys ever give them any feedback on their social media?
I just tell them like, hey, like let's do like the new. I always try to tell them let's do the new thing whenever it gets out. Like it's never going to hurt you to try to do the new thing, to try to do the TikTok, to try to do stuff like that. That's what I'm there for. It's like, hey, there's this, there's something in the news that makes a lot of sense for you to do a rant on. Why don't you hop on your TikTok and do this? Easy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, give him a little prod and certain. Yeah, that's
I'm going to make him do anything, but if there's something that can help him, or I see a story that they can blog about or talk about on a podcast, or we've done some like smaller ideas. Like I remember not a lot of people have seen this video, but we did like I was on Maury for Rough and Rowdy. We came up with an idea, and I got Big Cat involved with that, and it was a really good idea. So it's just most people are down to do stuff. You just got to think of good ideas for them that they actually want to do.
Yeah, right. I mean, who would turn away a good idea? You mentioned you fashion yourself an idea guy, and that's kind of what you like doing. Are you allowed to express ideas, across the company, Chuck? You're in one area specifically, but obviously you have access to people. Do you have the latitude to like push ideas out? And like you mentioned, like a specific idea to Big Cat or whoever. Are you allowed that creative freedom?
Yeah, I would say like in social, we get what's going on the internet. So like we are free to push ideas. That's really what I love about it. And like I'll be in business meetings. We'll talk about ideas. We'll talk about, hey, we could sell this product. We could sell this that we haven't been tapping into. There's a lot of different avenues. That's why Barstool is so cool, because you can kind of fit into any place you want to during the day. But yeah, I like to just try to help people, and if you keep trying to help people, I just think everything will work out for you in the long run. So, and it always has for me. Um, you know, let's put my head down, help people, and they respect you, and then say you need a ton of help, and they always come up on your side and help you in the future. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Any merch ideas? So you get in the merch store? Or no, not your thing.
I've done a couple merch ideas. It just gets so like it's tough because you can't step on people's toes. Like if I come up with something for Barstool Chicago, that's their thing. So it's like
right.
I just try to like stay away. I've had a couple do decent, but not too much merch.
Okay, so stay away from that a little bit. That's great. Let's shift over to the White Sox really quickly. It's a downer topic, but we we said we met recently, and that's true. We got to actually meet in person, hung on a cork and carry a little bit. You, me, and my brother Tree Z were talking about the team and just basically kind of what this team needs, and they're down. And one of the things that we were talking about was like they got two main problems. They're devoid of talent. They need more talent. That's the obvious thing. But one thing you were saying too was that they need more ball players. What do you mean by they need more ball players, and how do they solve that problem?
I don't know. That's what scares me. I don't know, because I think ball players come from good development. Like I think that's like the first and foremost, that's where it comes from. Or you just get guys that are just insanely talented, not talented, but just have that mindset from programs that they were at before. Like I think I'm guessing like Colson Montgomery's that type of guy where he's just born and raised and is just like a winner and is a ball player. And I don't know if the White Sox can tarnish that, but they might be able to with how
Let's hope not. looks good so far.
I think a lot of the issues that came with the rebuild right here was that we had a lot of just talent on paper and nobody that could teach them how to put it into game situations the right way. Like I talked to a couple buddies, one of my buddies who played for the Orioles. He talks about, and the Orioles aren't known for pitching, so he's a pitching prospect for the Orioles. But he would tell me the hitting, they got it down over there. They had a system where there's like a point value every time you go up to bat, and pitch recognition. What pitches are you swinging at? Was it a good pitch to swing at? And if you hit a home run on a bad pitch, you would actually get negative points. But if you would take strike three and it was out of the strike zone, you would actually gain a point. Okay. So they have a really good system that they built, and you watch them hit now in the major leagues. You watch Adley Rutschman hit, and you could see it's an advanced plate approach that we look for. Like you can't just build. Right. It's very hard to just build that plate approach. So we have the development that I don't know how we implement the development. I saw clips about somebody talking about the Dodgers the other day on AJ's podcast. I don't know who that former major leaguer is on there, but he was talking about how the Dodgers have, great living for the minor leaguers. They have chefs and stuff every meal. It starts from the bottom, man. Yeah. Like
so they've upgraded everything.
The top they upgraded, and he was talking about how they upgraded that before it became an MLB rule. Like they were feeding all their minor leaguers 3 meals a day and like treating them well. And it's like, oh, maybe that's why they're in such a good mood and really, perform when they get to the major leagues instead of eating like a bad, Eric Kratz. That's what Drew just said. Instead of, malnourishing these guys and making them eat Papa John's pizza after every game. And you see Lou Bob. My favorite Lou Bob thing is the Domino's pizza picture. Like me and my buddies have a group chat talking about that, saying Lou Bob needs to lay off the Domino's, but it's probably Eloy more than Lou Bob.
Well, I mean, what an amazing athlete he is that he's crushing Domino's and he's still got the 6-pack. It's like off the charts there. I mean, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I agree with you. Like, and where it came to light for me was they bring up Zach Remillard out of nowhere, and he's a breath of fresh air because he looks like he knows how to play. He looks like he's got a baseball IQ, and a lot of and not to just bag on the core guys because some of those guys, they haven't turned out or whatever. But even like the minor league guys that they would bring up to fill in spots never looked like they had that good of an idea of what was going on. And Remillard did. And now the guy has no power. He's, his profile is kind of up and down guy. But when you bring that guy up and he looks competent at a bunch of stuff, you'd start looking at all the other guys. It's like, well, what's wrong with you guys? How come you don't know the right thing to do here? How do you not know to play the position the right way? Like I just that like he's a shame, and I don't think he's a good player, and I don't think he's here long term. But I'm happy to see him in the lineup when he's here. I was like, okay, he's going to give it a decent shot. He probably won't hit a home run, but he'll lay down a bunt if he needs to, and he'll figure some stuff out.
You play in he was playing in a championship program in college for 4 years. Like he went to championship, and when you're in college baseball, they constantly just put you in situational awareness type positions. Like every day we were doing bunt practice, or we were doing some dumb stuff that at the time you think's dumb, but it really does pay off when you're in big games like that. And you like, I still like know all that stuff by heart, just like, and you see guys like that, and you know they know what the right position to be in, and how to play well in those positions. And I always think the thing that always stood out to me, we actually went on a Dominican trip when I was a senior in college, and we played some of the Dominican teams out there. So we'd play like, the Yankees Dominican team with like 16 and 17-year-olds. And the glaring thing for me always was that those ball players had unbelievable skills. I remember Tyler J, he was drafted by the Twins 5th overall during the foam, like before we took Foamer that year.
Oh, okay. Yep.
He was throwing 99 there one day, and I watched a 16-year-old in the Yankees just turn around on 99. But they just don't like, those guys just did not know how to play winning baseball. They were smoking the ball, but we were still picking them apart when it came to like knowing how to like what to throw on the right count versus them. Like start showing them off speed early in the count. They're swinging at everything like Javi Baez. So I think that's the one thing.
They were all NFL combine. They were developing these individual skills, but then the gameplay was the secondary.
They had no clue how to play the game to win.
Okay,
like they're just playing the game to be the best player, but there's no play the game to win. That's where I always I felt like we had the pieces, but they just never knew how to win together. And that's why my new troll my new favorite troll is that Tim Elko is going to be a star.
My guy, I love Tim Elko.
He's a winner. He's going to be better than Andrew Vaughn. That's my new troll. That's my new troll.
Your lips to God's ears.
That guy played at a winning. He won a championship. And that guy was playing baseball games with a torn ACL. That's how bad he wanted to be on a baseball field. At the end of the day, I can watch losing baseball if there's guys that want to be out there. I cannot watch a team that's supposed to be really good play way down to their competition. It will drive me insane. Like it's. I'm very excited to start. I guess we're starting to rebuild 3.0 and seeing what we got. I do like what they have done with recent transactions and draft picks. I think they know where they messed up, and they're like, we need patience. We need left-handed hitters. And I think they're starting to try to fix that. And they're picking up the middle guys, which I think is huge. So hopefully it works out a third time. If not, I'm not going to get my hopes up this time. I'm just not. I can't do it again. It's just like killed me. I was, I think all of us were really excited for them to be good.
For sure. Yeah.
A lot of those nights, like 2020, 2021, when we were playing big games where it's like, I could have gone and done something fun. And then I just like stayed and watched the game that night. And then they got swept by the Astros. I'm like, damn, I wasted so many weekends this summer. Like, and as soon as they fell out of contention, like a couple weeks ago or like a couple months ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to start golfing now. I'm going to start.
I could tell that you speak of engagement. I could tell my Twitter engagement during games tweeting is way down. This past weekend, I noticed it tremendously against the Rockies. I'm like, no one's watching this series. Me and like 7 other people.
I had 3 TVs and I kept the other 2 TVs black. I didn't even put them on. I just see you guys tweeting.
You watch nothing as opposed to this.
Yeah, I'm like, I see you guys tweeting about them. And I'm like, how are they doing this right now? I would rather die.
We got a sickness.
Elvis Andrews hit again, or like I can't do. There's really minimal things to look forward to on the team.
Yeah. I mean, especially after they trade Jake Berger, who was one of the things to look forward to on a day in and day out basis. I mean, I got Luis. And then, I mean, truth be told, the only starter that's has been worth a shit the last month has been Clevenger. I mean, like,
you know my big take in that starting rotation too. We talked about that when I was hammered. I'm not a Dylan Cease guy. Not a Dylan.
Doesn't throw enough strikes, man.
And this is where like ball player and gamer comes into mind. And I've told everyone this. This is my thoughts on Dylan Cease is that he is the guy on your high school baseball team that you lose the game like 3-0 with a bunch of unearned runs, and he checks his ERA after the game. He doesn't care that he lost. He's on whatever the stat website is, checking if like his ERA went down or how many scouts were at the game later. I can't stand it. I can't stand watching that type of pitcher because he does not attack. And when you don't attack, everything's. He did have it for a little bit last year, but I don't know when. I don't know if he was. That's why I was like, please trade him. Well, he's like kind of like a hot commodity. Like I was pushing for it because now it's like, what if he sucks going into next? Like, what do we do? Like
that trade value is going to continue to diminish, and you're going to be left with nothing.
We could have just screwed the Orioles. I mean, it probably could have been an Orioles decision. And when
maybe they realized too, they don't want him.
They're kind of smart over there. They look like lately, so they probably were like, "Nah, we're just going to take Flaherty and deal with him for 1 year instead of trading our whole farm for C's." So that was he's my big guy that really he pisses me off when he's not, because you see. As a guy who I think I had the mentality and I could throw strikes, seeing guys who just have that nasty shit that cannot focus and just like attack guys, it drives me insane. It drives me like mental watching guys throw 99 and just like not attack guys. I don't get it, but yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I don't know what they do here. I think they can right the ship. I don't know how. I don't know if we had to make changes I haven't been. Pedro's whatever. I don't think it's his fault. Like people want to be mad at somebody, be mad at them. But we saw this. Like Tony or not, this team was flawed. And good teams find a voice inside their clubhouse outside of the coach and still win. I'm pretty damn sure that like if the Astros can win with Dusty Baker, people just forget that Dusty Baker just was not. I don't think he's a great manager at all. Like he's constantly putting teams in bad positions to win, and that team was so good and so veteran led that they could win a World Series without having to deal with his antics. And I think that's the same thing. I've actually gone on record of saying I think the Astros could have won with Tony in their dugout. They would have. They would have just ignored them and won. But that's the biggest issue with Tony to me was. It's not a veteran-led clubhouse. I think the Astros were a veteran-led clubhouse that could kind of manage themselves, and we brought in a veterans-type coach for a young team that kind of needed their asses spanked a little bit. And
they weren't ready for to take it over themselves. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you saw. I mean, I'm telling you, bullying works. You saw the Luis Robert bench, and then he turned into Mike Trout. He's been Mike Trout since then.
I mean, that should as much as people have been dogging Pedro, that should be a feather in his cap because he did do that and he got a lot of results out of Luis by doing that.
Yeah.
Chuck, I want to thank you so much for bestowing your thoughts on the path to a social media career, strategies and methodologies to use on the socials, and then adding a ball player to the White Sox, which is desperately needed. Remember, we aren't trying to be right on the show. We're just trying to understand. Do you have anything you want to plug before you go?
No, follow all your guys' stuff. Don't follow me.
Thank God. A rare guest that comes on and says, follow the 108 shit. Don't worry about me. I appreciate that.
I'll just get in trouble.
Good to see you, my friend. And hope I probably won't catch you at the ballpark, I'm guessing, but maybe we'll cross paths in the offseason.
Be Bedard guys for that rebuild. That's my Puck Chuck's coming back, and Justin Fields Chuck is coming back.
JF1, that's right. That's my man too. Take care, Chuck.
Peace.
That was Chuck Naso. That was awesome. Next week's guest is going to be the man, the heel of Sox Twitter, Ken W.O. He and I are going to we may argue about some stuff, but we're also going to talk about how we agree with about 85% of things. And you guys hate him, and you absolutely fucking love me. So we're going to figure that out. Thanks again to Chuck Naso. Thanks to all the 108 family that was up in the YouTube comments. Thanks for smashing the like button. Comments, and, of course, the tips. Only one tip tonight. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you. Take care. I'm going to go to the ballpark right now. I love all of you. Bye-bye.